Hey guys, this is Lee Jessup back with another installment of The Rep Files, and I have with me none other than what I would like to call super agent David Boxerbaum, though I'm sure that he wouldn't term himself that way, but that's just because he's lovely and humble. Hi, David.
Hi, how are you? I'm gonna turn it down my phone so you don't hear it ringing intermittently during this. Okay, there we go.
You know,
Perfect.
we all do what we got to. David, you are an agent, a literary agent
Sure.
over at Verve that I'm sure for anybody who's been reading the trades for any period of time has seen some of what you do. Tell us your path to becoming an agent.
Sure. Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm always happy to kind of talk about what's going on in the business and how, how it's ever changing, but still exciting, still, I think, the best business to be in, and still the best, most creative and enjoyment, fulfilling part of life you can be doing, right? Which is creating content and creating, being a storyteller. So, very exciting. So I started. I'm not going to age myself here, but a long time ago, let's just say that. And I went to NYU Film School, came out of film school, wanted to be in the business, didn't necessarily want to be a guy walking around town with a film can under my arm. Just wasn't what I thought was the best way in for myself. So I thought my route into kind of the business was learning all about it, kind of getting into kind of the behind the scenes ranks, understanding what the whole production, producing, possibly anyone know what agenting was at the time, representation side of the business was. So my first job in Hollywood was I got to work for Jerry Bruckheimer, and it was during like some of the most iconic movies that he was doing, Enemy of the State, Con Air, Armageddon, and to be around that time and see those movies getting made, these really high concept commercial, big blockbuster movies was really exciting, especially a kid that went to NYU, which was not about probably commercial filmmaking, much more a little more artsy in tone, more indie. So I worked for him for a little while, and then you're at a point where you're working for Jerry, and it's like, okay, where do you go from here? People have been there for a long time, and someone said to me, "Listen, if you really want to learn the business and learn the ins and outs and understand the machinations of what goes on in the world of Hollywood, you really should go work in an agency. That's where all the kind of the hub of everything happens. The all the verticals connect to each other, and it's kind of the tentacles reach out from the agency, and you see it all kind of transpire within the hub of an agency in the world of that. So, sounded great to me. It sounded like is that easy? And it's not that easy. You apply and you have to get into one of these, mail rooms or maybe. And lucky enough, I got into the William Morris mailroom, where I began. It was William Morris Agency at the time, not William Morris Entertainment. And I worked for a guy named Lee Rosenberg, who was this very cool, unbelievably historic agent who was kind of on his like I'd say on the last years of being an agent, so it was in a very mentor state. But he was an iconic guy that had created his own agency called Try at the time and merged with William Morris, and just he wanted to kind of mentor. So I was under his mentorship for like a year and a half, which was really great, really TV driven. And after about a year and a half, he was retiring, and I got a call from a bunch of people at Endeavor. At the time, Endeavor was kind of like the smaller startup agency. And they said, listen, if you want to come to where it's exciting and you're at this kind of dinosaur type of agency now, it's been around, but we're the exciting new kids in the block. Come work over here. I loved the idea of it. Sounded great. Went to work at Endeavor for some really great mentors there. And Ari Emanuel, Ari Greenberg, all these kind of like, types that we, either know from just, over the years and you've seen and played in different TV shows, all that kind of stuff, right? So I really kind of I got a real understanding of the business from these guys and people and really mentorship from them. Then was there for about 2.5 years, took a small detour. I thought I wanted to get back into producing. I thought that agenting was wonderful and great. I had learned so much, but I was like, I don't know. I think maybe I want to be a producer. That's when I went to film school, whatever. And so took a detour into being executive back at RKO Pictures, and then quickly realized that really wasn't what I wanted to do. I really did love the pace and the energy and the kind of the fulfillment of what agenting brought to me, and that world. So I went back into it as to a small place called Metropolitan. I was there for about 4 years, and then left there, went to Paradigm, was there for about another 5, 6 years. Started to really build up a really cool book of business there and kind of writers and directors. Sorry, not Paradigm. Went to APA first, and then Paradigm. So you can see I jumped a couple places. And then I was at Paradigm, having an amazing time. Cannot complain about my years there. but the guys that started Endeavor, we all grew up together. So the guys that started Verve, we all grew up together at Endeavor. And they had called me and said, listen, we'd love to get the band back together. Why don't you come home to the family? We're 3 or 4 years in. Come join us. We're doing some really exciting here. And again, someone that had seen the excitement in Endeavor and what that had become, the allure of that and the allure of being with those guys and really being scrappy and ground up and mentality and kind of getting back to what it was about, which was artist first representation, was really exciting to me. So I joined Verve about 8 years ago, and here we are now. And at the time, I think we were 15, 20 employees, and now we're, over 200 in New York, LA, and doing some really exciting stuff. And partnered here with three of the guys that started it, and we're all just kind of like having a great time and really, pushing the envelope, hopefully in a really exciting, positive way.
That's a fantastic story, and you must have seen and learned so much in the duration of it. So tell me, how is artist first representation, that mentality, different than what is somewhere the more conventional
Sure,
approach to
sure.
representation?
I mean, it's not rocket science, right? It's really about taking the artist's, agent would be the wrong way, but the artist's mandate, what the artist wants to accomplish and fulfill for their career, the roadmap they have mapped out in themselves in their career, and putting that at the forefront of your passions and what you may believe is right, is better for them. Of course, you have opinions and you give advice and all that stuff, but it's really about putting their beliefs and their passions first. And what you see at some of these other places, and I'm not here to talk bad about anybody. I think we're all trying to make this work for all different ways and reasons,
Of
right?
course.
We just feel we just do things different. When everybody else goes right, we go left, right? So at the other places, what you have is you have a lot of mandates, and you have a lot of um, mouths to feed that aren't necessarily artist driven, but more brands driven or more corporate driven. And that becomes the forefront of representation more than the actual art itself. And we pride ourselves, and I've always prided myself on, I'm here because I love storytellers. I love the written word. I love the visual of directing. I love all of these things. I love getting I love getting my hands dirty on an idea early on and help breaking a story and seeing it all the way through. And that was getting lost a lot at these bigger agencies, not because agents there didn't want to do those things or be a part of that, because the mandates and the corporate structures of those places didn't allow it to happen. So what Brian and Adam and myself have seen now, helping to propel Verve to where it is that you can succeed in all those areas by making storytelling the forefront, making artists and their vision and their goals the forefront of the agency ran agenda. And it's been fulfilling. It's been really exciting. It's been what I think has led us to the success we've had.
I love that. Now, you spoke about your years at Metropolitan, APA, Paradigm,
Sure.
coming into Verve, building your book of business. A lot of writers who are coming into the game don't really know how an agent will build his book of business. So, can you tell me a little bit about the process as it progressed? Obviously, now you represent some huge
Sure,
writers.
sure. Um, so I think for anybody that builds their business, especially just speaking, I'll speak for myself because I don't want to speak for anybody else. For myself, it's always been about stick to what you believe in when it comes to what drives you as a human being that loves storytelling, that loves movies, loves television, just like everybody else does. And what drives you, what moves you when you read something and you see something, right? So what moves me is always like characters and dialogue. Like it's a big commercial idea can be great, but if the characters and dialogues to me aren't at a level that I'm really responding to, that's not really an artist for me or client for me, right? So for me, I've always used those as kind of my North Star when I read material, when I watch movies, when I go after certain kind of talent. I've always been about, well, the characters and dialogues in the material really stronger than most. Do they speak to me in a way that others haven't, right? So I've driven my business based on that. Of course, you could find probably on my list, clients that write also big commercial movies, and necessarily the character and dialogue won't be at the forefront, but the big idea of the asteroid coming down or this, whatever it may be, might be the more driving force of those movies. But I hope that at the core of everything that I work on and clients I work with, it's really driven by great characters, great dialogue, great voicey, narrative. It's just things in the you know it when you see it kind of mentality. And I've built my business on sticking to what I believe in, and hopefully not steering off, right? And not trying to sign for the sake of heat-seeking missile, trying to chase something to see if it's going to, throw it against a wall, see if it sticks kind of mentality, or chasing someone because I hear they're going to sell something, whatever it may be. Really sticking to the beliefs of, let me read it. Let me see if it really speaks to me. Does it sit with me? Does it kind of like stay with me after a few days? That kind of writing, those kind of projects, that kind of material, those kind of movies, is what I've built my business on over the years. And, I'm still sitting here today, so it seemingly has worked,
You're doing
Uh,
something right.
I'm doing something right. Exactly, Lee. I'm doing something right. Yeah.
Now, how do you work with your clients? What do writers or what should writers expect from their agents? What do you expect from your
Sure.
writers?
To me, I mean, again, this is always my personal opinion. Transparency, honesty, hard work, passion. Those are obviously things that you would want no matter what, but it's amazing how rare those can be when an agent, takes on a client, right? How much lack of transparency there is, lack of communication, lack of trust, which again would be shocking to believe that you'd ever want to be with somebody that you don't trust them. But sometimes you sign because the three letters on the agency on the outside of the building make you feel like you have this this kind of representation that you really don't have in the end, right? So they give you this false sense of security, so to speak. At the end of the day, what you really should be signing with someone that you believe and trust and understands your work, is passionate about your work, has long-term goals for you for your work. It's not just about the one or two things they've given you, but they really see a roadmap for your career. And they understand how to be 10 steps ahead of you every step of the way. So um, I've always said if a client is ahead of me, we're doing something wrong. I should be ahead of the client. My thought process, the way I think, the way I move chess pieces on the board should always be about how am I putting my client's roadmap to reality, and how am I ahead of them in the thought process of where I see their career. Those to me are the trademarks of a great agent. And by the way, I'm not saying I'm a great agent. I'm just saying that's what I've lived by and I've kind of like learned from my mentors and what I stick to in how I go about my business, right? I'm not always perfect. I obviously make mistakes. I've obviously dropped the ball here and there, and you have to clean that up. But if you really truly have those kind of characteristics, those kind of traits, and you stick to them, I think you can have a lot of success. I've always said also, I'm sure I said this before, is that, all you have in this town as an agent is your respect and your taste. And once those two are tarnished in any way, you're in trouble, right? So people got to respect you. They got to respect that, they want to be clients of you, or respect they want to work with you because you're above board, you're transparent. You speak from a place of passion and you appreciate the art and again, the world of storytelling. And also they respect your taste. They appreciate your taste. They appreciate that when you send something out, they want to read it because you must have you have great taste, you understand material, all of that. So if those things get tarnished, you're in trouble as an agent, right? Or any as a representation at all. So I try to really focus on making sure those are as strong as possible every step of the way.
What happens when ultimately a writer writes something that they're super excited about, but you just don't see it? You spoke about having to protect your own reputation and your own
Sure.
brand. What
Sure.
do you do with that?
Have I been involved from the get-go on it? Meaning that the question would be, Lee, is that if they write something and they just drop it on my desk, that doesn't work for me, right? So that's kind of the here, go out and sell this for me, the puppeteer kind of mentality, right? Just go out and do this for me. And as a relationship when it comes to me, in a relationship with a client and an agent, it is a team. It's a team. You're teammates in a game, right? Yes, I always say you are the CEO of the company. I'm the COO, so to speak, right? You're the head cheese, and I'm working for you. That's all. Let's get that twisted. I work for the clients, right? But hopefully, my expertise, my understanding of the business, my understanding of what people are buying, my understanding of what's selling, all of these things come into play so that I give you those tools, I give you that information so you can take that information and use it. So when you form an idea, when you form a thought about what you want to go write, whatever, next put pen to paper, because we all know writing is not something you do just in a vacuum. You go off and write 5 months, and it's like it's a very tiresome process of, again, you are alone, so to speak, but like you don't want to just go off and write and just like that's that and not have all the information ahead of time. So to me, the great relationship is I've given all these opportunities, all these facts, all of these ideas to the client so then they can come back to me and say, okay, this is what I want to write. And hopefully we've signed off on it together. So when I get that script you're talking about, all the way back to your original question, that I've known about this idea. I've signed off on it. I've given thoughts on it, right? So when it reaches me, it doesn't reach that point of what you're talking about. Now, along the way, things go this way. They take turns and they curves and they zigzag, whatever, of course, right? But hopefully I'm so intimately involved in that process that I know I'm aware of it every step of the way. I'm already road mapping as well, like we talked about earlier, of where we're going to sell it, what we're going to do with it, how we're going to plan it, all that kind of stuff, right? So there's always going to be those moments where you guys get me go, oh, it just didn't meet the expectation of what I thought it was going to be in my head. We have to go back to the drawing board a little bit or do some work on it. But what doesn't work is when someone just surprises you and say, here you go. It may be, by the way, trying to be a great script, but that process is not necessarily the best for how I work. Did that answer your question a
Understandable.
little bit?
It does, absolutely. Now, a lot of what you're talking about, and a lot of what you do, giving notes and being involved from early stages of developing a project, a lot of other agents don't do. Do you find that your work crosses over into a lot of what a writer would expect more traditionally from a manager? Do you find that a lot of your clients work with you and a manager? Tell me more about it.
Sure. I would say that I'm very managerial in the way I go about my business. Absolutely. Many of my clients still have managers, and it's a great relationship. They expect a lot from me, and I expect a lot from them. It's a very symbiotic relationship. If everybody's fully invested and fully giving their 100% commitment and passion to the process of the client, right? So I just believe in being hands-on with my clients as much as possible. That might not be for 99% of the agents out there, and I agree with you. That's not, most don't do that. Most are very transactional in their process. It's just not how I have been trained in this business and how I've represented my business and clients over the years. So it works for, I would say, most clients. In fact, I'd go as far as saying it works for pretty much all the clients I work with. But there's going to be one or two who are like, no, 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 I just want to make it transactional. And that may be great, but probably not the best client for me because I like to be much more hands-on and much more in the weeds with the clients, really helping to kind of shape it. They're still the voices, they're still the writers, they're obviously the storytellers, but helping to shape it to make sure that I'm setting them up for success as much as possible. And that's usually in lockstep with the managers as well.
I love that. Now, how much do you expect your writers to generate? How consistently? And should writers generate with the market in mind in terms of Sinners just did great, so should we all be
Sure.
writing vampire movies?
Sure. Hard to chase brands and trends. We know it's an old saying, right? Be very careful with that. I remember, I still sticks with me. It's such a simplistic, like throwaway of a sign I saw. I was at something years ago, and some conference, some event, and the sign said, "Great writers write," and I was like, "Okay, that's pretty simple and to the point, right?" But it made sense, right? It's like just great writers just write. If you're a storyteller, you should be always honing your craft. Any artist should be honing your craft. As an agent, I'm still honing my craft every day. I'm not perfect. I could always be learning. So to me, every new piece you write, every new pen to paper you put to a new project, you're always learning and you're always honing your craft. So why not? Um, do you need to generate every week something new? No, of course, but you should be generating always, always working on your craft. Oh, if this is truly what you want to do full time and who you are, then why not? Now, of course, you're going to be moments in time, hopefully, that you're busy because you have assignments and you're working and you're selling things. All, but there's going to be those times also where it's going to be, some downtime. There's peaks and valleys in everybody's careers, right? And mine as well. And it's during those peaks and the valleys. You're always creating and you're working on your craft as a storyteller. Great artists always create new art. And so why not be doing that even as a writer?
Very wise words. Now, you spoke about selling, and I think
Sure.
nobody has sold in recent decades more than you. I won't limit it
Decades.
to recent years.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
can you talk me and whoever's watching this
Sure.
through what the process of selling a spec screenplay?
Sure. So every screenplay is different. Every screenplay should be treated like its own original form of a project and shouldn't be treated the same way, right? So every time you get a new screenplay, you're going to hopefully take out to market and sell it. You put a game plan together. Who will be the right filmmaker if it's not going to be the writer itself? Who's the right star that should be involved? If it's warranting that, right? A actor, actress, age range, whatever it may be. And then you talk about, okay, who's the right producers for this piece that speaks to this piece that they're gonna give it the TLC it deserves, and they're gonna shepherd it from start to finish all the way through the studio, right? Because the most important thing is we can sell all day. We can go sell something to a studio with the producer. If that producer is so distracted, not necessarily, or doesn't have a track record of actually seeing this script all the way through, at the end of the day, the goal hopefully should be for every client to get a movie made. Selling it is amazing. Financially, it can be a life-changing, moment. It's absolutely one of the most wonderful processes to go through when someone sells something and it's their first time or second time or fifth time or a millionth time, whatever it is. There's nothing like that phone call when you say, "We sold your script, five studios bid on it, this studio's buying it, they're going to pay this X amount of dollars for it." I mean, there's nothing like that phone call. Having said all that, that's just half the battle. The other half is now we got to get your movie made, right? Now we got to see it all the way through. So hopefully you've put things in place to get that done. And hopefully, as an agent, and speaking for myself, you've positioned it with the right people who can see it all the way through. Because it is a fight every day from that moment on. So the battle within selling a spec, short story, whatever it may be, is putting the right pieces together and then putting it in the right hands to get it made, the right studio, streamer, wherever it may be. You can easily sell something for maybe sometimes X amount of dollars more over here, but you should have sold it over there because they would have made the movie. They had a better chance of making the movie more than taking a few extra dollars over there, which is great, and money sometimes speaks. But if it's the goal was to get a movie made, you probably should have gone over to that place instead. So it's about giving the client those kind of like very transparent and very honest assessments of the situation and being very honest with, what the value of this person is, what the value of not having this person is, what having this filmmaker is. So my job is to know all of that. So when you go out in this spec world with something new, an original piece of material, you have all of that aligned. You have all that information ready to go, and you are literally you're a conductor of an orchestra and you're trying to piece it all together to make it sound and go perfectly. And I don't want to put too much, emphasis on how important it is of what we do at that point, but it's so important that every move you make, every chess piece you move is methodical because it actually affects something else down the line, right? And a great agent, and I'm not saying I'm a great agent, but this is what I try to do each time, always has that thought in mind. If I do this, it's going to affect this again, 10 steps down the line, right? So if I make this move, or I put this person on, or what does this studio think of that person, or this stream, whatever it may be, everything is a methodical decision. Everything is really carefully planned out, rather than just what sadly I see many people do sometimes, just throw it out there and see what happens, right? That's just not how I go about business.
So not in the spaghetti on the wall business of
Yeah.
things.
Maybe I'm not going to say I haven't done that maybe early on in my career when I didn't have the training or didn't have the understanding of what it takes to succeed, and that's part of it. But I think after selling a couple things here and there and having some success, right, you learn what it really takes. And the last thing you want to be known as is some kind of like I always say, some Willy Loman out there, just being a traveling salesman. Hey, I got this one, but if you don't want this, I got this one. You don't need to know that. You want to be known for someone that has exquisite and exceptional taste and understanding of the marketplace and understanding of what kind of material studios and streamers want to buy and putting them in the right hands of people that want to make it too. So once you kind of, and there's no such thing as mastering anything, but once you truly understand that, and I've spent hopefully my career trying to understand that, you, I think, can have a lot of success.
So, what excites you about a screenplay or a writer that makes you go, I have to talk to this person, I have to get this script out there? What is it that lights the fire for you?
Same thing at Lights of Fire for you. It moves me, right? I am no different than you, Lee, and no different than anybody else watching this. I am moved by a piece of material that I read that either scares me, makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me feel all the feelings inside of love or excitement or thrilling or scared of shitless, whatever it may be, right? All of those kind of things, when they come out in different forms, and it could be a one feeling, two feelings, whatever it may be, but the script, the script, the voice in that script, everything jumps off the page, and you just know it when you read it. That's what moves me, and it's a very interesting. Like I have two little girls, right? And I'm gonna get back. This analogy will work. I think it will work, but let me try it. So recently they've gotten into opening. They're really into wrestling. These are the girliest girls. They love wrestling, right? Love it, and they watch all the wrestling shows and ever, right? And now they got really into opening, buying baseball cards, like wrestling cards, right? Packs, right? But the real joy comes from opening the packs and seeing what's inside and pulling them, right? Opening packs and pulling cards, right? And it's that excitement, like, oh, what'd you get? What'd you get? Like when you open it, oh my God, we all excited. And it's like, it's a real joy. I mean, this to see my daughter's faces light up, it's nothing like it, right? When they get something they think is really exciting, whether it be worth a penny or worth $1 million, doesn't matter. They're so excited when they pull something they really want, right? Back to the analogy of reading a script, you read all these scripts, right? It's almost like a lottery ticket. Like you're reading these scripts, you get sent in on, okay, pretty good, okay. But when you read something that just absolutely just sparks you and that light goes on, there's nothing like it. You want to tell everybody around you what you just read. You want to call 20 friends and tell them, oh my God, I read the greatest thing ever. There's nothing like it as an agent, at least in my end, right? And that's what we do this for, is that moment, those times. And they don't come a lot, they're fleeing, but they're when they do come, and you hope that with your own clients they come all the time. But I'm saying new material comes in, whatever it may be, there is absolutely nothing like it. And so hopefully that analogy works.
It
But
does.
yeah, you see, it's that light that goes on in your face, that like excitement. It's the best.
It's really fun watching you talk about it because you get all lit up. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Because every day you're still playing it. It's like playing that game every day. You get something, you're like, oh, is this gonna be the one? And when it is, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Now, talk to me about short stories. You've really been at the forefront of this evolution of now selling short stories in
Sure.
addition to screenplays. Where did this come from? Where is it going? And can anybody play that game?
Sure. Sure. And listen, first to answer that question, anybody can do anything, right? There's no patent on it. There's no patent I have on anything, and there's no like I control the business and I do it all, right? I've just found what works for myself, and I think we've done something pretty exciting and inventive that has really reshaped the business, hopefully. But by no means do I have a trademark on it, and no one else is going to be doing it or isn't doing it as well. Um, short stories have been around forever. There's nothing new about it, nothing, seemingly like that I stumbled upon. Just 2.5 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, it started where somebody called me and said, "Hey, have you read this viral short story on Reddit? It was really exciting. It's crazy. Everybody's talking about it. It's kind of told from the first person POV. It's really cool. It's told in different chapters, whatever." I was like, "No, I haven't seen it." I went on there and I saw all the buzz about this thing, whatever. And I was like, "Huh, let's." And the person that tipped me off was this manager, who's done 29 of these with now, Scott Glassgold. And Scott's like, "You should really check it out, and we should like maybe do something with it." And I was like, "That's interesting." So I read it. Really cool story. It was set in the horror kind of space. It was under the no sleep kind of subset of Reddit. We decided to take it down, and then we started to make a couple phone calls around town, like, "Hey, have you heard about this short story? It's really great. It's all over Reddit." Blah, blah. And people got really excited, and they got really excited because, hey, the story was really good, but they got really excited about the idea of discovering something. Oh, what's this? It's something some people are talking about. It's viral, whatever. So when you sent it, people got really like felt like they were a part of this movement. They were a part of this like finding, discovery, right? And that alone, I mean, take it from, if I'm on the other end of that, that's exciting when you're like, hey, discover this. Go to your boss and tell them that no one has seen this. Go to your boss and tell them that you need to buy this because it's out there. Everybody's talking about it, right? There's something really exciting about that. And again, short story is really cool. So anyway, that went out and we ended up selling that for tons of money and multiple studios bid on it and everybody wanted to star in it and direct it whenever. And we're like, really cool. This is great. It's amazing. I'm sure it's a one-off. I don't think there's anything to this part of it, or it's going to be duplicated again. But it's great. Not 2 weeks later, whether this person saw the success we had on my wife and I bought a ranch was the first one. Someone else put another short story on Reddit and decided that this is also something first person POV, thriller, horror, kind of same kind of mechanics as the other one, but way different story and everything. We decided to try it again, see if it was a one-off or something that could be duplicated. And again, took it out, multiple talent interested, attached some talent to it, sold it to Netflix, and that became a huge thing, right? So then we're like, we might have a real business here. Well, cut to 29 cents that have sold in a row, right? And in ways that have been financially just absolutely windfall that we've never seen. Um, and talent like Steven Spielberg, Michael B. Jordan, Jessica Chastain, Sydney Sweeney, you name it, filmmakers galore, Sam Hargrave, Michael Bay's worlds, all these people involved. Um, we now have, this amazing business we built called 1201 Films that has really reshaped the short story business. Now, what happened since the Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it may be, finding these stories is that we're like, if we can incubate these ourselves and build them and help build them with writers in house, or we get ideas from writers ever, and build kind of this like quote unquote story oven that we think works for these after spending now a couple years really understanding the mechanics of what makes a great in our world. Again, purely in our world, a great short story might be great for other people might have other ways of doing it, but for us, what works, let's build a short story kind of oven and see what we can do. So we built kind of this like, proverbial short story oven. And we kind of like Scott and I and the team here will put some of these ideas through and they come and get baked and they come out and knock on wood, they've all been somewhat successful so far. Somewhat is a nice way of putting it. They've been very successful financially, very successful creatively, and very rewarding for the everybody involved. Sometimes the authors are involved and they adapt them. Sometimes there's writers involved, there's filmmakers involved, talent, brings on whatever it may be. But it's been a really amazing new way of seeing the business take form. And we knew that this was taking off greatly when we saw most of the other agencies try to adapt it. Not necessarily the best way we do it, because again, we feel like, there's no proprietary, but we feel like we kind of built our own little oven of how we do it that makes sense story-wise. But we see a lot of agencies trying, doing this now as well, which is exciting to see. And in the business, when you talk to most studios and most streamers and, top down, they'll tell you, yeah, it's a great new way of buying ideas, seeing movies formed, and really kind of getting involved in the movie from the ground floor up. And so it's not revolutionary by any means. We're not doing anything that's like, again, reinventing the wheel. We just found a way. We saw a white space that wasn't there, and we decided to see if we could do something with that, and it's been a real reward. And every day I'm very humbled and proud by what we've been able to accomplish. And every moment I think, oh, it's going to slow down, it's not going to next. It continues to be a very big windfall, like I said, creatively and financially.
What an exciting thing to get to build and watch.
Yeah,
Sounds like quite
for
the
sure.
journey.
Yeah, it's fun. And hopefully a journey is not the old saying journey's just begun, but hopefully a journey continues for a long time.
Absolutely. So speaking of the last, 5 years, 6 years, whatever we want to count, have been challenging for the industry. We know we're in a TV contraction now. How do you feel about the business and the prospects in the business for emerging and working screenwriters?
Here's what I can say about all that. Yes, it is a challenging market for sure, but never been more motivated, never been more excited about seeing new voices, new material, and the want and need for original ideas in the marketplace, and I have in a long time. I think anybody that tries to be negative, anybody that tries to be kind of poo-poo the business right now and say that oh, it's a shrinking, you shouldn't get into it or shouldn't do it. That's just all BS. Let the ones who quit quit. Let the ones who want to be negative. But it's the ones that stay positive, the ones that continue to hone their craft and work and write will find a way to be successful. I am absolutely blue skies on where we are in the world right now in this business. Of course, like I said, you have to be nimble, you have to be different, you have to be able to find different ways of creating revenue and creating business out there and selling stories and selling, new ideas. But that's just what we all have to do in life in any kind of job is sometimes you have to adapt and be different and shift your thinking, right? It's the ones that want to be stuck in the old ways are going to be stuck in some trouble, right? Stuck in the mud. But that's the only reason to be negative. It's a wonderful time to be a storyteller no matter what. It is a wonderful world to work in, this world of movies and TV and storytelling and art. And I recommend anybody that has the passion and love and joy for it to do it, to chase it, to not give up. Let everybody else give up. It opens the door for you, So and it's the ones that give up, I say, good luck, because you can give up. There's someone else waiting to come in that door behind you. I recommend to every writer, new or old, starting out, been doing it for years, continue to do it because it's the ones that don't quit, the ones that are having a lot of success right now. And I've seen some people who have kind of who have stopped and kind of like taken a break, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But I've seen a lot who have put their heads down and be like, I'm just going to work my way through all of this craziness, right? And they've had a lot of success doing that. Who have shifted, who have also seen the tides turn, who have shifted their thought process on what's working and what not working, and shifted their approach to the business. And it's been really successful. So again, I might sound like Pollyanna, but very blue skies here on my end, and I love what we do every day. Again, challenges, sure, but just gotta be nimble and gotta be able to shift and roll with the tides.
That's great insight. And listen, you're on the forefront of it, so I want to hear it from you.
Sure.
Because I think if it was not promising, you would certainly be the guy to
Yeah,
do
I told someone the other day actually. I told someone like, most places now before used to be, oh, you got to send stuff to us when it's packaged up with a writer, sorry, a director, a filmmaker, actor, actress. We're at a place now we only want to buy things that are packaged up. And now that shifted more to we really want to buy like new original material that's naked, doesn't have anybody attached, whatever, which is should be music to all storytellers' ears. Like, great. So I don't need to go out and get a XYZ actor, XYZ filmmaker on board. I just need to have a great piece of material, has a great idea. We can go sell it. I've seen more of that happen over the last 6 months to a year than I've seen it in quite some time. So, yeah, I think it should be really, really exciting times for anybody coming into it, anybody that's actually had some success in the business or is having success or is working, like I said, obviously working, that there is a real opportunity here for everybody to sell.
That's incredibly exciting to hear.
Yeah,
You've given us a ton of time. Last question.
sure.
For those writers who are not leaving the business, who want to get noticed, who want to get their work out there, who are looking to be discovered, what advice do you have for them, be it writing related, business related? What is the one thing or three things you tell them to do?
Sure. So I tell everybody to understand the peaks and valleys of this business. We talked about, I think, a little bit here and there, right? And to not get discouraged. Discouragement is the usually biggest deterrent to success in this business. Absolutely. It is the one fault of many people. They get discouraged and they give up, right? And you can't have any discouragement. You got to have a very, very, very tough skin and understand that the peaks will come from the valleys for sure. Two, you've got to create and you've got to continue to write and you got to stick to your guns and write what you're passionate about, write what your heart tells you to write. Do not write to what you believe is gonna sell, or do not write to what you believe a trend is right now. As an old typical, kind of thought people give, and like typical like no. But it's so important to hear that. Write what you're passionate about. Write what your story to tell, even if it's something that's very personal and dear to you. great character and great character and great dialogue will shine through in that work if the talent's there, right? So write what you're passionate about. Um, and most importantly, I would say appreciate the idea that at the end of the day, this is storytelling. This is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be the art, right? And the business side will take care of itself. The business side fi figures itself out. Most importantly, we're just telling stories here. Be an artist, be a storyteller, and tell a story. Every day you write, sit down, just tell a story, entertain. Imagine put on some music and write something that, what the music behind it that drives you. Just be a storyteller. And so many of these writers try to be the business side of it when they're writing and purely about the business end. Well, I got to write this, I got to put this in there and just brand. Just be a storyteller. And that true form, that true storytelling always shines through when someone that's trying to write purely for the business side of it, if that makes sense. Um, and then I go back to that last thing I say, great writers write. Just continue to write. Don't give up. Be writing. Great writers write. Be inspired, be excited, and be passionate about what you're working on.
I love that. That is all such sage advice. David, thank you so much for your time, for
Of course,
coming
my
in.
pleasure. My
Really
pleasure, always.
appreciate it.
Always,
And thank you
anytime.
to everybody watching.
Thank you.